The air war is about to escalate into something terrifying. New reports confirm that the United States is officially preparing to put boots on the ground. In a massive deployment, the Pentagon is currently rushing thousands of combat-ready Marines and amphibious assault fleet straight to the Iranian coastline. Their target isn't just a military base, it's the regime's absolute crown jewel, a highly guarded island that controls the financial survival of the entire Islamic Republic. To prepare for that assault, US just did something that it has never done before. You see, in 1979, President Carter considered attacking the Kharg island, but he didn't. And then again in 1988, President Reagan considered attacking the island, but he ended up deciding against it. But yesterday, that changed. And now Marines are moving to the region. Wall Street Journal reported yesterday that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has approved a request to move an amphibious-ready group and a Marine expeditionary unit to the Middle East. An amphibious-ready group is basically a fast response unit designed for sea-based assault, special operations, and of course humanitarian missions. It includes approximately 5,000 personnel, half of them being Marines and half of them being sailors. Now, this is clearly not enough for a full land invasion of Iran, but it might be enough for Kharg Island. Here's why this is important. It is literally Iran's crown jewel.
So why is Kharg Island so strategically important to the US? Why are the US trying to seize it? Well, this is why. 90% of Iran's export crude oil comes through that island. 90%. And the reason for that is it's effectively a terminal. And the terminal allows very large tankers that can carry up to 85 million gallons of oil to be able to come up to the terminal quite easily and then come back down the Persian Gulf and out of the Straits of Hormuz out to China. China is the main user of Iranian oil. So why else is it important? It's also the economic lifeline to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC. And if you take that island and you hold it, then you're effectively cutting off their lifeline, their ability to be able to conduct war.
90% of Iranian oil exports go through this island. But this is where it's important to clarify. The oil isn't being pumped out on this island, but rather vast majority of the oil is actually coming from Iranian mainland through pipelines, and then it comes to oil depots on the island, and that's where it gets loaded onto tankers and shipped to the world. Now, as you guys know, oil revenue is a massive source of revenue for the IRGC. The Islamic Republic has basically given IRGC full control over country's oil resources. That means this island basically funds the Revolutionary Guard Corps that protects the regime. And that's exactly why it's been a US target for decades. But so far, no president actually ever hit it. Well, that changed last night. Yesterday, President Trump put out this statement. At my direction, the United States Central Command executed one of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East and totally destroyed every military target on Iran's crown jewel, Kharg Island. In fact, the clip on your screen is actually the clip from that raid that President Trump shared later on. These strikes destroyed missile sites, mining operations, and of course military installations. But Trump went on to clarify that these strikes did not hit oil infrastructure, at least not yet. He added a warning. If Iran interferes with free passage through the Strait of Hormuz, the decision to not hit Iranian oil infrastructure will be reconsidered. Now, this is where the Marines come back into the picture. Right after he announced the strikes, President Trump was asked directly, is he considering taking over the island? Well, this is what he answered. Take a listen.
So the year was 1988. This future president, Donald Trump, was selling a book called The Art of the Deal. He gave an interview to a British newspaper, at which time you talked about Iran. You said we have to win back respect for America on the world stage, and you had stern words for the Islamic Republic. You said they've been beating us up psychologically, making us look like a bunch of fools. One bullet shot of one of our men or ships, I'd do a number on Kharg Island. I'd go in and I'd take it. Now here in 2026, you are president. Are you thinking about taking Kharg Island, where 90% of the Iranian oil goes through? And what do you think about, do you remember that interview and that school of thought?
Yeah, but Brian, I can't answer a question like that. You should ask it. You should be even asking it. It's one of so many different things. It's not high on the list, but it's one of so many different things. And okay, I can change my mind in seconds. But, you know, if he had asked a question, who would answer a question like that? I mean, you're asking me a question, Kharg Island, okay, everything. Who would ask a question like that? And what fool would answer it, okay? let's say I was going to do it, or let's say I wasn't going to do it. What would I tell you? Oh, yes, Brian, I'm thinking about doing it. Let me let you know what time and when it'll take place. It's not, it's sort of a foolish question. A little surprising for you because you're a smart man.
I am, but you were just pretty amazing that you thought about it in 1988.
Now, that wasn't exactly a denial, and if we look at recent history, every time we have seen military assets moved into a region, we have ended up using them. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that history will repeat again in the future, but the pattern is hard to ignore. Now, it's also important to point out that the Marines could be going to the region for other missions. We don't exactly know what they will be used for. One option is, of course, we have discussed a special forces raid deep into Iran to siege the nuclear stockpile that is at Isfahan. Another option could be securing shipping lanes in the Strait of Hormuz, or they could be preparing to take some other island that funds the entire regime. It could be anything. We have to just keep watching. That's why, just a quick reminder for everyone, if you are watching and you're not subscribed, please be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Over the last month, we've been having some issues with Iranian bots attacking our channel. In fact, this is something YouTube confirmed to us directly last night. So if you can hit the subscribe button down below, it just supports the channel even more. Now let's talk about how Iran is responding. Iran's armed forces responded to President Trump's warning. Their answer is basically what we expected. If the US attacks Iranian oil infrastructure, then they'll go after energy infrastructure in the region, basically go after the Gulf countries. But here's the thing, they've been already doing that. They attacked a refinery in Saudi Arabia, they attacked refineries in Qatar, oil depots in Bahrain, and on top of all this, they are even attacking oil depots in Oman. Oman attack is just something Iran cannot defend. Iran's excuse all this time has been that they only attack countries that have US bases. Well, guess what? Oman doesn't have any US bases, and they're still attacking that country. That means the new Iranian threat means nothing because they're already trying to do it, and every single day we are seeing less and less Iranian missile launches and less Iranian drone launches. That means the threat that they brag about so much is actually going down. Now this is where we want to talk about the Marine deployment and its timing. You see, the Marines are coming on USS Tripoli that is currently based in Japan. That's its normal base. That journey from Japan to the Middle East takes roughly 10 to 14 days. And President Trump has previously said that this operation that's going on in Iran would last 4 to 5 weeks. Well, guess what? Recently, he's actually walking back that timeline. He's saying that he can't really predict a timeline based on how things are going. But on top of that, he has been saying that, oh, we are ahead of schedule. Something that has not been consistent, but based on the firepower that's being moved around, we can probably take a guess that this operation is going to go on for at least 2 more weeks, probably longer. Now, the same morning, so yesterday morning, we also had Secretary Hegseth and General Dan Kane hold a press conference. And we learned a lot of interesting things on this press conference. So the first one was, of course, what is the US intelligence assessment of where the supreme leader is, the new one, Mustafa Khamenei. Take a listen.
Iran's leadership is in no better shape. Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually, but there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for unity. Apparently killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity. Iran has plenty of cameras and plenty of voice recorders. Why a written statement? I think you know why. His father, dead. He's scared, he's injured, he's on the run, and he lacks legitimacy. It's a mess for them. Who's in charge? Iran may not even know. With every passing hour, we know, and we know they know, that the military capabilities of their evil regime are crumbling. They can barely communicate, let alone coordinate. They're confused, and we know it. Our response? We will keep pressing. We will keep pushing, keep advancing. No quarter, no mercy for our enemies.
Then we also had General Kane sharing some of the military first. For the first time ever, US used an ATACMS missile to take down an Iranian submarine. That's something that has never been done before, including much more. Take a listen.
On to project power beyond their borders and protect our deployed. In just the first 13 days of this operation, our artillery forces have made history. They fired the first precision strike missiles ever used in combat, reaching deep into enemy territory. They've used Army ATACMS to sink multiple ships, including a submarine, and they've done all of this with the precision and determination that comes from relentless training and trust in each other and in their weapon systems.
And finally, we had Secretary Hegseth talking about the Iranian nuclear stockpile. Now, this is something we've been talking about the channel for a very long time. During the negotiations, Iran refused to give up their enriched uranium. They were willing to give up a little bit of it, but they wanted to keep the rest. And on top of that, they wanted to keep their nuclear capabilities. This was something that was reported by multiple trusted outlets here in the United States. And on top of that, we had Steve Witkoff confirm this after the negotiations were kind of done. Now, this is actually one of the reasons why Iran cannot be trusted with nuclear enrichment capabilities, because previously Iran has promised multiple times that they have no interest in pursuing nuclear weapons. But for some reason, they can't explain why they kept enriching uranium to 60% if they don't want to build a nuclear weapon. They don't have any other use. And that tells us that this is not a country that's not building a nuclear bomb. This is a country that is actively planning to build a nuclear bomb sometime in the future and use it as like a negotiating leverage to extract more concessions from the regional allies. And this is exactly why this military operation, this war was started. Well, a question was asked, how is the US going to deal with this nuclear stockpile? And this is what Secretary Hegseth said.
In the middle there, red tie. Yes.
Michael Gordon, Wall Street Journal. Iran is thought to have 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium in at least 2 locations and several thousand kilograms of lower purity material. Can you conclude this mission successfully without physically taking control of that material, or are you counting on diplomatic negotiations to provide some measure of control leading to its removal? You've mentioned missiles, you've mentioned drones, military industry. You haven't stipulated that taking care of that material is a mission priority.
We've said from the beginning, deny Iran nuclear weapons as a core mission. We retain options across the spectrum to ensure that they never do. And President Trump has said that. And that's why this mission actually couldn't have been possible without Midnight Hammer. Without what those B-2s did going across and obliterating those facilities, that set the condition for the opportunity to do what we're doing now. So the president's kept his eye focused on nuclear capabilities. And I will say we have a range of options, up to and including Iran deciding that they will give those up, which of course we would welcome. They weren't willing to do in negotiations. I would never tell this group or the world what we're willing to do or how far we're willing to go, but we have options.